Imagine a police officer on his nightly routine, paying attention to the sounds and movements of the city. Everything seemed peaceful, until he heard a sound that would change his life forever. Johnny, a dedicated police officer from Floyd, Virginia, was about to experience one of the most moving and inspiring stories you've ever heard. On a seemingly ordinary night, he found a crying baby, abandoned in a trash can. The decision he made in that moment not only saved a life, but also redefined the concept of heroism for all of us. What would you do if you found an abandoned baby? Johnny didn't hesitate. He became the true example of a real-life hero, facing challenges that would require courage and compassion beyond imagination. This story is not just about a miraculous rescue. It's about how one act of kindness can transform lives forever. You will be thrilled to discover how this unexpected encounter led to a series of events that culminated in a surprising reunion and a new beginning full of love and hope. Get ready to dive into a narrative that combines controversy, overcoming, and miracles. You'll see how Johnny's heroic acts inspired not just one child, but an entire community. And in the end, you will understand why believing in miracles can be more real than you imagine. Stay with us and discover how this story from emotional rescue and inspiring stories can touch your heart and renew your faith in humanity. Johnny, a dedicated police officer from Floyd, Virginia, was on night patrol when he heard a strange sound. It was a peaceful night, the kind of night where nothing seemed out of place. However, at that moment, a different sound caught his attention. As a seasoned professional, he knew that anything out of the ordinary could be an important sign. With his ears perked up, he decided to investigate the source of the noise. And that's how an emotional rescue journey began. As he walked through the dark streets, Johnny reflected on his many years of service dedicated to the safety of the community. He knew that every night could bring surprises, but nothing could prepare him for what he was about to discover. As he approached an alley, the sound became clearer, a soft cry, barely perceptible but unmistakable. Johnny's heart quickened, a mix of worry and hope. After all, heroic act stories often begin with a simple hunch. Finally, upon arriving near a trash can, Johnny found the source of the sound. A newborn baby, a girl, was there, abandoned. Shock and compassion instantly invaded him. He knew he needed to act quickly. Every second was crucial for that little being. Without hesitation, Johnny took the baby in his arms, feeling the weight of a fragile and defenseless life. At that moment, he realized that he was facing one of the most inspiring stories of his career, a true miracle rescue that would change his life forever. With the baby in his arms, Johnny felt a whirlwind of emotions. The little girl was crying, and he knew he needed to act quickly. Carefully, he wrapped the baby in his coat, protecting her from the cold of the night. Every moment seemed eternal as he quickly walked towards the police car. Johnny's mind was racing, thinking about everything he needed to do to ensure that child's safety. The weight of responsibility was immense, but he knew he was facing a situation that demanded a true real-life hero. Arriving at the car, Johnny called the emergency service, reporting what he had found. The dispatcher's voice on the other end conveyed urgency and support, promising to send an ambulance as quickly as possible. As he waited, he looked at the baby, feeling an inexplicable connection. That little life completely depended on him at that moment. He murmured words of comfort, trying to calm the girl. After all, in moments of emotional rescue like that, every gesture of care and affection can make a difference. The wait for the ambulance was brief, but for Johnny, it seemed like an eternity. Finally, paramedics arrived and took the baby into their care, placing her in an incubator to warm her and check her health status. Johnny felt immediate relief when he saw the girl in safe hands, but also a persistent concern. He knew that this was just the beginning of a long journey for Little Flower, the name he had already decided on in his heart. The destiny of this inspiring story was just beginning to be written. As the ambulance drove away, Johnny couldn't help but remember his own story. He had lost his father, also a police officer, in an act of heroic service years ago. The memory of this tragic event was always present, shaping his determination and desire to protect others. The feeling of emptiness he carried with him was a constant reminder of the fragility of life. As he held that baby, he felt a deep connection to his own pain and an immense desire to make a difference. It was as if destiny was giving him a second chance to experience a true emotional rescue. Johnny always wanted to have a family, but life took him down different paths. His work as a police officer consumed much of his time, leaving little room for building lasting relationships. However, The unexpected arrival of that baby rekindled an old desire in his heart. He knew that, like his father, he was destined to perform heroic acts, but he also longed for a family bond that filled his world with love and purpose. Flower, the little girl he had found, represented an opportunity for healing and redemption. When observing the baby in the hospital, Johnny felt a mixture of hope and responsibility. The life of that little being depended on his actions and those of health professionals. He committed to closely monitoring the girl's recovery, determined to ensure she had the chance to grow up in a safe and loving environment. With each visit to the hospital, he felt more connected to Hannah, as if every beat of his heart was in tune with hers. In those moments, Johnny saw himself as a true real-life hero, involved in one of the most inspiring stories of his life. At the hospital, Johnny never took his eyes off Hannah while the doctors examined her. He knew his presence was crucial, if only to offer moral support. The medical team worked quickly to stabilize the girl, and Johnny couldn't help but admire their efficiency and dedication. While waiting, he reflected on the importance of every second in rescue situations. Every act of care, every quick and precise decision, contributed to transforming a potential tragedy into a true miracle rescue. During the night, Johnny took care of Hannah as if she were his own daughter. He fed her a bottle kindly provided by the nurses and rocked her to sleep. The tiredness of a day on patrol was beginning to take its toll, but the responsibility of taking care of that little being gave him strength. He knew that every moment of attention and affection was vital to her well-being. With a protective look in his eyes, he promised himself that he would do everything in his power to ensure that Hannah had a bright and secure future. Those moments of care became true heroic acts. The arrival of the ambulance, with fellow police officers, brought immediate relief to Johnny. He knew that their presence meant more support and security for Hannah. As the paramedics prepared the girl to be transferred to a neonatal intensive care unit, Johnny made sure to follow every step. He talked to the doctors, making sure Hannah would receive the best treatment possible. Every second counted, and he wanted to make sure nothing was left to chance. Johnny's dedication to that rescue was inspiring, a clear example of emotional rescue. Johnny remained firm by Hannah's side throughout her time in the hospital. He watched intently as doctors and nurses cared for the girl, ensuring she received the best treatment. Hannah, as he called her, began to show signs of improvement, her initial tears turning into small smiles. Johnny felt a wave of relief and hope. Each small victory in Hannah's recovery process was proof that the true heroic act does not end with the rescue, but continues with each gesture of care and dedication. Johnny's constant presence at the hospital did not go unnoticed. The doctors and nurses admired his dedication and saw him as a true real-life hero. He participated in every medical decision, discussing the best options for Hannah's recovery. With each passing day, the bond between him and the girl grew stronger. Johnny knew he was witnessing one of the most inspiring stories of his life, a journey of overcoming and love that touched him deeply. During the long hours in the hospital, Johnny reflected on Hannah's future. He knew that despite his physical recovery, there were many challenges ahead. The girl would need a safe, loving home where she could grow and flourish. With this thought in mind, he began to consider the possibilities of adoption, knowing that although he could not personally adopt her due to her circumstances, he would do everything in his power to ensure that Hannah found a family who loved her as much as he did. This commitment turned each day at the hospital into a true act of emotional rescue. Hannah's recovery in the hospital was a success, and soon the issue of adoption became a priority. Johnny, still emotionally involved with the girl, followed the entire process closely. He wanted to make sure she was welcomed by a loving, dedicated couple. Each visit to the orphanage and each interview with potential adoptive parents were moments of great importance for him. The desire to see Hannah in a safe and loving home was what drove her actions. Each step taken in this adoption process was a true heroic act. When a couple was finally approved to adopt Hannah, Johnny felt a mixture of joy and sadness. He knew he was doing what was best for the girl, but the separation was not easy. The couple, enchanted with Hannah, promised to take care of her as if she were their own daughter. During the adoption ceremony, Johnny couldn't help but cry when he handed Hannah over to his new parents. He knew he was witnessing one of the most significant and inspiring moments of his life, a true miracle rescue that now extended beyond his hands. Despite the adoption, Johnny continued to think about Hannah over the years. He kept in touch with the adoptive couple, receiving news about the girl's growth and development. Every photo, Every message was a reminder of the impact he had on her life. Johnny was proud of his participation in this inspiring story, knowing that his actions had changed the course of Hannah's life. And although his daily routine kept him busy, he always took a moment to reflect on that little girl he had saved and how much she meant to him. The years passed quickly, and Hannah grew up in a home full of love and affection. At 23, she was a strong, determined young woman with an incessant curiosity about her past. She had always known that she was adopted, but the story of her rescue by the heroic police officer was something that touched her deeply. One day, he decided it was time to find Johnny and thank him in person for saving his life. Her search was determined, and each step brought her closer to the reunion that would change their lives. Hannah finally found Johnny, now a police veteran with many stories to tell. The meeting was charged with emotion. Upon seeing Hannah, Johnny felt a mixture of pride and joy. The girl he had rescued was now a grown woman, and his gratitude was evident. Hannah thanked Johnny for his heroic act, which not only saved her life but also gave her the chance to live a full life. For Johnny, that moment was a true inspiring story, proof that his efforts were not in vain. The reunion was not only emotional but also inspiring. Hannah wanted to know more about her origins, and Johnny was determined to help her. He saw this as a new mission, a new purpose that connected him even more to Hannah. They decided to work together to discover more about her past, beginning an investigation that would reveal surprising truths. The journey they were about to undertake was a true emotional rescue, and Johnny was prepared to face the challenges that would come. Determined to discover Hannah's origins, Johnny and she delved into a detailed investigation. Using his contacts in the police and his investigative skills, Johnny began to gather information about Hannah's past. Every clue, no matter how small, was a step towards the truth. They dug through old archives, talked to people who might have information, and analyzed documents that could shed light on the mystery. Johnny's commitment to helping Hannah was another example of his heroic acts. During the investigation, they discovered that Hannah's biological mother had been kidnapped years ago. The revelation brought to the surface a series of emotions and questions. Johnny knew that this information was crucial but also painful for Hannah. He supported her every step of the way, offering not only his expertise but also his shoulder to lean on. The search for truth became an inspiring story of courage and resilience. Each new discovery strengthened the bond between them, showing that true emotional rescue is continuous. Their investigation took them to unexpected places and surprising encounters. Finally, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. They managed to locate Hannah's biological mother, who was alive, but deeply scarred by the trauma of the kidnapping. The moment of reunion promised to be both exciting and challenging. Hannah was about to meet the woman who gave birth to her, while Johnny was preparing to support both of them during this journey. The discovery of Hannah's origins not only revealed hidden truths, but also solidified Johnny's importance in her life as a true real-life hero. The reunion between Hannah and her biological mother was a moment of pure emotion. When they saw each other for the first time, they hugged each other with tears in their eyes, feeling the weight of the years of separation disappear. Johnny, observing the scene, felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He knew that his dedication and the heroic acts carried out over these years culminated in this moment of union. Hannah and her mother, despite their painful past, found a new beginning in their embrace, a true emotional rescue. Over time, Hannah and her mother began to rebuild their relationship. Johnny was always close by, offering support and affection. The connection between him and Hannah's mother strengthened, and together, they created a new family. The bonds that formed between them were based on love, respect, and gratitude. Johnny found a new purpose and love with Hannah's mother. Their story, full of inspiring stories and miracles, showed that true love can emerge from the most unexpected circumstances. Finally, Johnny and Hannah's mother decided to get married, sealing the bond that had grown between them. The wedding was a celebration of love and overcoming, a true symbol of how miracles happen in unexpected ways. Hannah, now with a complete family, looked at Johnny not just as the hero who rescued her, but as the father she always wanted. The wedding and the new family formed were the perfect conclusion to a journey full of real-life heroes and inspiring acts, showing that love can heal even the deepest wounds. Now that you know this incredible story of rescue and overcoming, it's time to reflect on how we can apply these teachings to our own lives. Have you ever wondered how you could be a hero in your everyday life? Perhaps it is time to act with more compassion and courage, following Johnny's example. Think about situations where you can make a difference, whether it's helping a stranger or supporting someone in difficulty. Every act of kindness has the potential to create inspiring stories, just like Johnny and Hannah. Have you ever thought about how small gestures can have big impacts? And how about being inspired by real stories to change your perspective? Maybe it's time to get involved in volunteering activities or even simple acts of kindness in your everyday life. Johnny showed us that you don't have to be a superhero to make a difference. Just be willing to help and act when necessary. How can you be a real-life hero in someone's life today? If this story touched your heart, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Here, you will find more exciting narratives that show the power of miracles and heroic acts. We want to keep bringing these inspiring stories to you, so stay with us and share these life lessons with your friends and family. Together, we can create a more compassionate and heroic world, one act at a time.